Yeah, what we doing now? It's Nisha's network, y'all.
It's Nisha's network, yeah.
Yeah,
It's all about connecting, yeah.
connect the vibe.
It's Nisha's network,
Yeah.
It's all about connecting, yeah. Let's go.
Connect and feel the vibe. Connections make you feel alive. We do this every day. Let's put your business on display. Network, let's heal and pray. It's our love, we here to stay. Trust in God, He'll lead the way. We on right now, no need to wait. Let's go. It's Nisha's network, yeah. It's all about connecting, yeah. Let's go.
Well, let's go, everybody.
Let's go.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I am great. How about you?
Good. I'm doing good. See, I
Good,
didn't
good,
give any phenomenal intro, but I'm about to.
Okay,
I
let me stop.
am so grateful to have as my guest today none other than the beautiful Mrs. and this is the first part of her life, Kara Beckham.
May. Forgot the May part.
Disrespect on all
Disrespect.
levels.
I'm telling.
No, he's gonna see this and he's gonna know. Okay. And I don't know why that stuck out in my mind. Maybe because I was thinking about Mama Deborah. Okay, so
It's okay. It's okay.
we're gonna have this conversation.
She'll appreciate it.
Oh my Lord Jesus. Well, to Andre May, who you've been married to, how many years?
12.
12 years.
Yeah.
I am fired. So that is
It's okay. It's okay. Redemption is yours. Jesus is real.
I've been on vacation, so we're just gonna say vacation mind. So
It's all right. All right.
well, good morning, everybody. Mrs. May, Lady May, Queen May, May all day. Okay, we gonna make sure we know that it's May all day. May Day, May Day, May Day.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
okay. All right, enough of me. Woo! All right, so I am super excited to have my sister here, and by blood, kinda. By the blood of Jesus, but
For
the
sure.
blood, but she gave us an injection in our
Mhm.
family, and so like we're kind of stuck together. So it's okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay. I'm so grateful you're here today. And we're going to talk about teaching with resilience and love. And we're going to talk about it on all levels. So if you all are watching, please go ahead and share. This is a conversation you would want everyone to know, minus the introduction of my failures and frailties. But I want you to introduce yourself appropriately, please, to everyone.
My name is Kara Bickham May. I am,
Come out.
first of all, just so the emphasis on May, but can't remember where you came from, so it's all right. I'll always be Bickham. But just first of all, just thank you so much for having me, Nisha, and for having an opportunity to speak with you and with your audience and just to be here in this space. I really honor that and honor you for that. So thank you. I don't even know how to introduce myself. I have lots of hats. And I see I'm scrolling. Lots of hats, but professionally, I'm the founding principal and now director of partnerships and creative development at Art in Motion Creative Arts Charter School in Chicago. And then in another portion of my life, I support and help lead worship at Christian Life Center in Tinley Park. And I am a literary coach. And so you probably have heard about our that business on some other Nisha's networks. And so I have quite a few hats.
Yes, you
But
do,
I'm
girl.
really
Yes, you
excited about all of them though, and they're all God hats. I haven't there are none of them that God's been like, don't do that, because I try to be really attentive and listen to the things He wants me to put down, and none of those hats has He said put down. So here we are.
So I think that that's something I kind of want to talk about
Yeah.
because one of the things that's always raised, I kind of gave a little link of it to yesterday when I was on our prayer line, is that people say, I say I wear a lot of hats, but
Mhm.
operating and doing them all with resilience. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? And love. And
Yes.
it's a
Yes.
difference between just being busy and on an assignment, right?
Yes.
And so I want you to kind of just address that. Like, how are you doing with wearing so many hats? I mean, I see you on the stage at the church, leading worship. Then I see you, being the director and founding principal at Art in Motion. Then you're being a wife, you're being a mom, you're being a daughter, you're being an editor in chief, you're being so many dynamics, and then still smiling and doing with
Mm.
resilience and love. And I'm sure there's some other stuff, but I just wanted you to talk about operating with wearing so many hats with resilience.
You know what? I really think that what's really key is relationships and surrounding yourself with people who understand where you're going, are going where you're going, have grace for where you're going. And that started for me at home. I couldn't do any of the things that I do without Dre, which is why the May part is so important because he is foundational and he's a rock for me um, when I'm tired or frustrated or need direction or not sure about decision A or decision B. And I know that it looks like out in public, I just make decisions with ease and do things really smoothly all the time. That's just not the case because I'm human. And sometimes you just need to lay down and crawling in the arms of Jesus while it's a beautiful metaphor, he's not sitting here. And so lots of prayer and lots of coverage by Dre. And so I think that that kind of is foundational. And then I have a very close knit circle of sister friends who really are family. I really have friends, and then I have family, and my family are sometimes my friends, and often my
Yeah.
friends become my family. Um, I'm but having that support and knowing that that support is there is really key. I have my blood family and my mom. I'm very, very close to my mother. And so just all that being said, that support system is really important. Because in order to be able to pour out love all the time, which I really, really work to do, it's just kind of who I am as a person. It's important to be able to receive love too, and to be able to receive love from people and to be able to receive the love of God. And he fusses at me all the time about who I am in him and what it is that I'm supposed to be doing and how I'm supposed to be calibrating to what he has for me and how he thinks I'm special and he thinks I'm great. And I'm like, God, I messed that up. And he's like, oh no, I love you. And so like letting him love on me um gives me the grace to be able to love others and then to be able to bounce back. Because sometimes all the pathways knock you down.
Yeah.
And sometimes all the pathways don't feel good. And the one thing about being a teacher by trade, I was a teacher for 20 years, excuse me, before I entered the art in motion space. And one thing about being a teacher, you learn that assignments don't always feel good. And so when you're in school, you get all these things that you have to do. And some of them are like, oh, I really like that. And some of them are like, oh, this is awful. Why would you give me this, teacher? You stank. And it's, the kids get all irritated. And I remember all those feelings. And sometimes assignments are not easy. And so being in my position at work as founding principal and now director of partnerships and creative development, or leading worship and having a day where you come to church and you just are not feeling it because the world has beat you up that week, and you still have to lead people and let them see God's face on stage, or a coach project that I really need to work on and really support an author in, but I don't feel like I'm in my best space. And I'm reading and I'm like, I, I don't even know what to tell them. I'm like, God, give me some words. Um, all of those spaces, it becomes just really important to be able to have those connections, to be able to bounce back and move forward appropriately and move forward with a spirit that doesn't blame people. Because it really gets easy when you feel a little crazy, or when you feel a little pressed, or when you feel a little busy, or feel over busy, or feel overwhelmed. It's really easy for that to come out towards others. And I really try not to ever do that because it's not people's fault that I'm in the space that I'm in.
That is
Um,
so good. It's
yeah, well, it's just not. Mm-mm.
no. And I think that that's that space where I think that people have a tendency to do that blame game or start judging others when they really don't realize it's really what's going on inside of you as
Yes.
opposed to what's going on around you. So I wanna backtrack a little bit, pre like when you were in the founding of being a teacher, what made you want to even enter the education space? You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
just you have such a big personality. And then if you all those you don't know, speaks French as well and Espanol. So there's she's bilingual. So there you have it. So let's talk a little bit about what made you say I have a passion for kids, or maybe you didn't have a passion for them. You saw the
No, no. Always have. Always have. I have always felt like, even as a teenager, I've always felt like teenagers are one of the most misunderstood groups of people anywhere. A former principal friend of mine used to call his students adults with no frame of reference.
Ooh,
So they're getting older, they're maturing into these spaces in their lives where they're expected to make these decisions, but they don't really have a basis from which to make those decisions except what they've seen from their parents and adults around them, and then what they've seen on television, and then what they see their friends doing.
mm,
And so it's a really hard space being a teenager, but they have so much to give and so much love when they feel like they can trust you, and so much to learn. And when you can kind of get past those walls that they put up of mistrust, just because we all have them, not just kids,
yeah,
um, they really just want somebody to listen to them and to understand. And I think just my own childhood, I think my own trauma, I think my own just experiences as a young adult, I wanted to feel heard, I wanted to feel understood, I wanted to feel listened to, I wanted to not feel judged all the time.
yeah,
um, and we as adults do a lot of judging of kids, these kids and these kids and these, and I mean, yeah, man, they're crazy, right? But for our generation, so were we. For our parents' generation, so
yeah,
were they. Because all crazy is learning and trying to figure out where you're going in the landscape that you live in and in the environment that you live in. So um, I got grace for that really early. And then I had, little cousins that I loved, and just always, I had one part of my collegiate experience where I was going to be an attorney, and I was writing briefs for everybody and doing all of those kind of things. But that was really short lived because when I first went to college, well, prior to college, I was like, I think I want to be a teacher. I shifted somewhere around like junior year in high school, and then got back to that around my sophomore year in college, and it's been teaching for me ever since. So because it's about relationships, it goes back to the relationships piece. It's about how you can connect. I loved being in the classroom, not just because I loved my content, which is one of the reasons lots of teachers teach. I love English, I love math, I love science, I love kids. And I knew that being able to teach English would be a really good way to make life connections, because in literature it's all about connections and
wow,
relationships and understanding people's minds and psyches and stuff.
wow,
So yeah, so that was the education start, and it's been that ever since. So I'm a career educator. I will always
yeah.
probably be doing something connected to the educational field, even if I'm when I'm not working in a school.
So let's dive into being a mom.
Yeah,
That part. That
that part.
mom. Tell us a little bit. I mean, that journey of being a teacher, and I think about my own mom being a teacher, and it seemed
Yeah.
like she had the grace in teaching, but then when she came home, it just didn't seem like it was the same grace. You understand
Well,
what
it probably
I'm saying? Or
wasn't.
there
Oh
was
yeah,
patience or whatever the case may be. And
yeah.
so, but I respected her, for doing what she did. But I mean,
Mhm.
I had my own struggles, with what having to figure that part out. Let's just
Yeah,
that. So,
yeah,
your own personal experience, just share a little bit about just being that mom to
yeah,
Justin and Jordan, and just really and also Mimi, right?
yeah. Grandma, yeah, grandma. I'm straight grandma.
Grandma. But anyway,
My mom is
your
Mimi.
mom is Mimi. That's
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
just tell us a little bit about that journey and how God had to really like show you that you were good.
Yeah, yeah, that's so interesting. So, um, eh, when you're a person who works hard to walk in love and works hard to be um, everything that he wants you to be, and over time, like guys, I didn't wake up like that, I promise, and I diverge from it often. So please don't. Who she's so holy? Absolutely not. Um, Striving. Praise God, striving. Um, but when you try to walk in love, one of the things that you really try to do is give that same love to your children, right? And so I had my son my senior year in college. I call it my first senior year because I had two of them because I had a boy in between. Um, had my son my first senior year in college, and so that was its own set of like wow and ahas because I had a career path and then I was like, oh wait, now I'm a mom. I don't actually I didn't plan for this. So I'm not really sure what this is supposed to look like. Um and I had him, we moved home so that I could work actually in my home school district where I went to high school, Richie's
Wow.
Rockets, woot woot. And green and go green, go. Anyway, we moved home and I took him everywhere with me. He was attached to me at the hip at school. We always did all of the educational things together. Um, he was my shadow. The kids helped to raise him. I had kids who babysat him. I mean, they, and then once I was still there when he got in high school. And then his friends became my children because they all came to my house and they, I would come home. I can say this now. I would come home and these boys would be just sitting around my house. And I'm like, you cannot have these kids in my house. These are my students. And they're like, you not Miss Bickham right now. You just mom. And we would feed them. We're not here for you. We're here to see Mimi. And then they would talk to my mother. That we won't talk to you then. We'll just talk to Mimi. Um, but really, really great relationships. But I really worked to give Justin a lot of the grace that I gave the kids because I just felt like the relationship thing is important to me for real. It's not just about like other people, it's about people around me. Um, what I didn't do with Justin that I like just I've thought about a lot of parenting then versus parenting now because Justin is now 27, Jordan is 10. So
Yes.
don't Jesus. Um, what? Okay.
It was May
Um,
Day. It was May Day.
it was May Day. Lots of May Days. Exactly. Yes. Um, and at lots of reflection between my parenting of him and parenting of her. There were things that I know for sure now as a mom that I didn't teach him because I really just wanted him to understand the love part. I wanted him to just understand loving people, trusting people, being able to understand people, being able to dig in, because those are pieces that I felt that had been really important, probably just from my childhood.
So
There were there,
pause right there because
yeah,
that right there, we want to give our children
yeah,
what we didn't have, but it may not necessarily be what they need.
yes, or all of what they need, which is true because to the point earlier, we're talking about this whole piece about teaching with love and resilience. A part of that is balance and harmony, right? And so I don't think as a mom, I was as balanced with him as I should have been. And so it helped to fuel some decisions that he would make as he was growing up about who he wanted to be over time. Things that I'm very, very cognizant of right now with Jordan, um, and just different ways of explaining things, of helping her to understand the world around her, helping her understand the world at large, helping her understand the political climate, helping her understand race in America. Like those are conversations that I absolutely did not have with Justin. That as a black man, I should have, right?
So I'm gonna stop you there because I want to say
Yeah.
so you're teaching, you're not teaching, but you're directing, you're founding, you're principling, you're
Mhm.
teaching still, educating,
Always.
and moms and parents. So do you go back and apologize to your child or
I
do
have. I have numerous times.
So what do you well, I want you to give parents some advice in terms of like when they think they've missed the mark
Yeah,
or how I mean, you don't get a chance to do it over, but you know, refiring that relationship. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Say, hey, these are some things I could, and especially if they see you doing it different with your next set of children or your
yeah,
children, you know, your younger children, you know,
yeah.
what would you say to parents?
Well, you know what? I think you have to have transparent and honest relationships. I think that, a- and that's hard because the last thing we want to look like in front of our children is like we don't know, or like we don't understand, or like we're not aware, or like we don't want to tell our kids we made mistakes. But that's how they learn. And so being able to say, hey, man, let me tell you, I was just talking to your sister about, and I've had this conversation with Justin numerous times in some form. I was just having this conversation with your sister about X. I'm so sorry we didn't talk about that when you were a kid. Cause like these are things that you really needed to know as a man.
Wow.
And he'll tell me, no, Ma, you good. You were the best parent, man. You were the best mama I could have ever had. He'll say that, and that's beautiful. And I believe that he believes that I did the best that I could with what I had.
Yeah.
Because we all do, I think. I don't think any parent wakes up and says, I want to be a terrible parent. I want to not understand my kids. I want to never reach them. I want to, I don't think anybody wakes up and says that. And he and I had a good relationship when he was a kid. But there were just things that I see now that I'm like, missed that. Mm,
Yeah.
that was a block. And I think it's, and honestly, I think it's okay because at the end of the day, God directs our steps and guides our journey. And we all have a journey that we have to walk in order to be who we're supposed to be on the other side. So
Yeah.
the things that we miss as parents is like, I mean, I wish I hadn't. But also, God is going to take all of that, right? You give your kids back to Him. He'll take all of that, smush it together, and work it out for your good
Yeah.
because that's what His word promises. So I lean on that all the time. I'm like, God, listen, this is what you said. I didn't promise
Yeah.
that all the things were going to work together for good. As a matter of fact, sometimes I look at the things and it looks like they'll never be good.
Yeah.
But you promise that you will work it all for good. And so I think being honest about that, I think being transparent about that, I think being able to circle back and have those conversations, and being able to be vulnerable enough in that space with your kids is really important, and it's healing for you,
Yeah.
um, because whether your kid receives it or not, you have to, from a sincere place, take ownership and accountability for your role and your space and things, which sometimes is really hard because mirrors are not easy.
They are definitely not easy.
Oh, they stink, man.
Thank you for being so transparent. I
Mm.
wanna, well, 30 minutes can go by so fast, but what I wanna do in our last few moments is really to talk about how the door opened for Art in Motion and how
Oh, wow.
you saw God's purpose and plan to shift things,
Yeah,
in the city of Chicago, basically.
yeah.
You've been in the suburbs forever, then you are
Mhm.
in the heart of the city now.
Yes.
So let's just talk about you were founding principal of Art in Motion, and, you could tell everybody, is it a charter school or is it just a
Yes,
public school? It's
it's
a charter
charter.
school.
Mhm.
Okay, and then
CPS is our authorizer, so we're under CPS, but it's a charter
so give
school.
us a little history about that, and then, the focus and purpose of Art in Motion and why the founders saw it necessary for the school to even be in existence, and why they chose
Yeah.
you. Come on, founding principal.
Yeah, no, man, it's such an honor. It's such an honestly, it's such an honor to work with Art in Motion. I started it is amazing when you watch. We say at our house sometimes that we know we make moves, we make decisions, and sometimes we watch God just play chess with our lives.
Yeah,
And you see him moving things around, and it's like, what is this for? Why do I have why is this here? And then you're like, whoa,
yeah,
that
yeah,
was where all that was. And so I started having conversations with um, the COO of one of our founding partners, and then the woman who was the connection with another one of our founding partners. I started having conversations with them, as they were writing the charter application and tweaking the charter application for this school that was already about to happen, just hadn't passed everything yet. Started having conversations really just about structure and about what kids need, and about how to make that happen in a school and what kind of heart a school should have, and heart, there's a heart thing again. Um, and what kind of services should be offered, and what arts education looks like, and what it should look like, and who it should be available for, and all of those things. And in that conversation, I saw the two of them kind of have this aha moment between them. And I was like, is there a joke? Did I miss something? And they're both just kind of giggling. They're like, no, it's fine. Fast forward, that conversation was in early 2018 or so. Fast forward, by February of 2019, I was an employee of Distinctive Schools,
Wow.
who was our charter authorizer, who was our our charter management organizer. Um, and I was the founding principal of Art in Motion.
Wow.
And so through a rigorous selection process, they found me. Art in Motion is a creative arts school. It has a three-pronged philosophy focused on quality academics, arts experiences and exposure and development for students, and then social emotional learning and support. And so those three prongs are who we are as a school, and the areas in which we seek to grow, and all of our goals are written around arts, academics, and social emotional support. Um, and it just made sense. You know how when God puts something in your way and it's like, I'm actually not interested in that, God. I'm cool over here. I've been doing this a really long time. I'm comfortable. My current job, at the time, was 6 minutes from my house. I
Yeah.
worked at I worked at all three schools in my district at the time, and the farthest one was 9 minutes from my house. So it was like, this is great. This is a good setup right here. And God was like, no, there's more. And I know that you didn't ask for this,
Yeah.
but that's one of the reasons I'm giving it to you, because you're not into it because of ambition. You're into it because of assignment. And you're into it because you have a vision of what education is supposed to look like for kids, because you are a change agent. I was like, who, me? He was like, yeah, you. I was like, could it be? He was like, no, sis, it's you. And I was like, okay. So I walked away from 20 years, um, plus of a career, in a district, that I grew up in, and went to Art in Motion as the founding principal in September of 2019. And then pandemic happened in March of 20. So we were open for 7 months together, trying to figure it out, bringing together students from all
Wow.
over the city
That was hard.
who had never been in school together ever. These kids had never. We had maybe
Wow.
4 pockets of kids who knew each other. Everybody else was brand new to each other, so that had its own struggles. Um, Bring them together. We were together for 7 months. Pandemic hit in March. We were home. We taught remotely immediately, so we went remote. We reiterated probably over the course of um, our time together, probably about 8 or 9 times, with all of the start and stops with COVID, because every time we had a new structure, it was a brand new structure for us, because we had just opened in September of
Wow.
19. So we moved. Now that this will be our second full year being open, this coming school year, 22-23, because 21-22 was our first full year being open after pandemic. And some would say it's not even after pandemic,
Right.
during the pandemic,
Right.
right? And then we are now here, moving into the 22-23 school year, and I've taken on a different role as a director of partnerships and creative development. And we just hired a new principal, this amazing guy named Dion Steele, who is going to do AIM. We're the next iteration of AIM. I can't even say AIM 2.0 because it's really like probably AIM like 10.0. But the next iteration of Art in Motion, as we are doing a huge $43 million build out. We have an amazing building project that's going on, and just expanding enrollment exponentially in order to get more and more kids this access, to the opportunities that that we want to provide for them. Our founding partners are Common and the Lynn Group, his group, and then Pastor Hannah New Life Covenant Church. And so shout out to them for just faith in the process and the project and in me, and in just all that we're trying to do for our babies on the South Side. Because this is what education's supposed to be, man. You're supposed to hit kids in all of their domains. They're supposed to be able to be creative and smart and use them together
Yes.
and find jobs that allow them to be that. We tell our Black children all the time, children in general, but specifically Black children who struggle in the marketplace and in commerce spaces, that they can't be a creative. And that is not true.
Yes.
That's not true. You can make money as a creative. You just have to know how to work the system
And
and how to hack the system.
look, I wish somebody would have told me that or been encouraging me in that, because
Yeah.
it was a struggle of feeling
Yeah.
less than being a creative and not knowing that I was going to be resilient and make money and meet relationships, and
Yes.
because creativity causes you to expand your horizon. If you're stuck in
Yes.
one mode of your profession, I
Mhm.
mean, no discounts to anybody that's not working in the creative space or the art,
Yeah.
but I will say that has afforded so many people to build relationships that people don't really have an opportunity to do. And
Well,
so
and Nisha, there are people who work, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but there are people who work in those non-creative spaces who actually are creatives. And it's just about how you think
you think it
about
right,
creativity. And so we say, if I'm not a painter or I'm not a singer or I'm
or
not
a
a
decorator.
dancer
Whew,
or a decorator, then I'm not a creative. And it's like, that's not true. Half the mamas I know are creatives, because how else do you get dinner on the table when you have 19 meetings and your kids need shoes because the show is in 30 minutes? Like, that's creativity. You have to be able to pivot. And pivoting is so important.
that is so good. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so grateful that we had this conversation, and I think we need to have a part two.
Let's do part two. I'm here for it.
But I want you to leave people with the best advice that you can offer them about, from it being a parent, a wife, a mom,
Yeah.
sister, a friend, just really all things resilience. And really, the name of the school, Art in Motion, really speaks to the resilience of life. Really.
Yes.
So
Yes.
feel free to just share the last few moments.
Yeah. So my license plate, I used to have a personalized plate, and it said, "You be true too," which was based on one of my favorite quotes by Shakespeare, "To thine own self be true." And that really is one of my favorite quotations, because I think that in life we spend a lot of energy trying to be who people expect us to be. And as parents, as spouses, as church members, as workers in the job market, we spend a lot of energy and expend a lot of energy trying to create a version of ourselves
Yeah.
that is not who we are. That is frustrating and unsustainable. And so I think that that authenticity piece is really key. And listening, taking time out to listen to God. He's dealing with me a lot about rest and about what rest really means. And I don't think I ever really knew.
Mm.
I'm learning now how to take that time and that space to really understand who it is that you are and what it is that you're called to and what it is you're supposed to be doing, and then what balancing all of that looks like.
Wow.
Jeff Bezos talks about work-life harmony. We always talk about work-life balance, and he says a work-life balance is a joke because it requires you to believe that the two pieces are going to be equal all the time, and they're not. It's not linear. It's a circle. And so figuring out when to give more, when to pull back, when to dig in deeper, when to say, I'm not digging at all. Y'all gonna have to figure it out.
I feel
When to-
guilty.
and not feel guilty about it, because it's a part of your process.
Yeah.
And so just being authentic with yourself and working on that harmonious living with all of the spheres that you exist in, and then operating under no condemnation, because you don't have to be ashamed of the kinds of decisions that you have to make. You just have to be able to listen
Yeah.
to what God is calling you to. So I think that's the best I can give today.
Oh, right. Where can people find you to reach out to you? Not only is Kara a worship leader, she is a psalmist and a singer and an art, and needs to be a recording artist. And then also, but she has recorded on many projects. And then also, she is a speaker, phenomenal. So if you are
Yeah.
looking for someone to come and speak the word of the Lord, or speak
Yeah.
encouragement, or speak at your college graduations, or universities,
I
and
do all of those things.
all of those things, just so grateful for the massive gifts of wearing many hats and doing
Yeah.
it all with resilience and love. Thank you so much for today.
Yes, thank you. This has been beautiful. And if you want a part two, just let me know. I'm here for you.
I think we have to do it. I
Yep.
think we have to do it. All right, everybody. It's been great talking to Mrs. Kara May, the prophet, the teacher, lover of children and your
Yeah.
kids. And so thank you so much for today. We'll see you guys next time. Have a great day, everybody. Hang tight.
Thank you guys. Take care. Bye.
Connect and vibe, 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 connect and vibe.